I'm not gonna waste your time. Image friend is Spamton's benefactor Mike and has eggs, which are both his gimmick and attack. And Spamton's Pipises are rip-off versions of those eggs. Here, that's the whole theory. I'm sure for some freaks this would be enough, but if you're not that Deltarune brain-rotted or just wanna hear my evidence and takes on what Mike having eggs would even signify, you can stay for the rest of the video. Here is each segment of this series that I'll be discussing separately. If I'll figure out how to make time codes, I'll add them, I promise. Starting with establishing that Mike is friend. Since there are plenty of Mike is friend theories already and majority of fandom agrees on it, I'll try to be brief. Just look at this fucking room! And it's important to note that the room wasn't made by Mike impersonators, it was here before and went empty after Spamton's Macy breakup with both Stan and Mike. And generally, despite Grippins being the boss and seemingly dismissing the cat Mike theory in one singular line, he still insists that all three of them use cat-themed attacks and all the minigames are cat-themed as well. As for the whole microphone deal, the name likely comes from Japanese mike, which is used to refer to several breeds of cats, all of which represent luck, which tracks with Mike's ability to turn people into big shots. However, despite thinking that Toby definitely took the name from Japanese, I'll keep calling the guy Mike and not Mickey for the rest of the video. Now about eggs. To simply continue the Mike is friend point, let's remember the Cat Petters 2 game. In Spamton Sweepstakes, we can gain access to Niall's blog posts. In one of them, she talks about weird eggs that wouldn't hatch or get deleted, so she took care of it as if it was her pet, and the egg left, quote, due to happiness. Inconveniently, Niall can't remember the egg's name. Some people believe that this is the egg which hatched into Mike eventually. A more definitive example of friend appearing in Cat Petter's series is another blog post where Niall talks about the minigame in which you need to tap cats to get a score, but once she had gotten a cat that was given negative score. Besides that minigame we can play in Deltarune, where the similar thing can happen, Noelle offers us to play the exact version she did, in which you get a random chance to get image friend jump scare, which further ties him to the game where you can hatch cats from the eggs. And on topic of recent discovery of Washi Field, there is an image of cat in an eggshell. But I quickly want to mention that I don't believe that Toby has plagiated the Washi Field. Please, how about we stop this bullshit? He only got slightly inspired by the imagery. So yes, Mike is an egg baby and therefore has an ability to make more eggs. Now, moving on to Spamton. There is one trait of him that has become much more apparent with recent chapters. This guy shamelessly plagiates and steals stuff from others. His black suit, an attempt to impersonate Watch. His glasses, plagiarism from both Swatch and Mike. His red suit, attempt to imitate Tenna. His Neo body, metatons. Bro stole even musical motifs. Hey Every or a Real Boy. Cheap copy of Tenna's Hall of Fame. Half of Big Shot is just airwaves, and the other half is a remix of Power of Neo. However, I must note that start of its TV time also sounds eerily similar to it, which is fair because Metaton ran so that Tenna and Spamton could walk. So that's one shared steal. I think you get my point. Spamton steals shit. The idea for this theory actually came to me when I tried to review what this fucker even has that is original to him, and at first I thought that the answer was Pipises. A lot of people just assume that Edisons as species are all bird-like and therefore can lay eggs, but no other Edison was implied to be able to do that. And I'm not dismissing that there is something bird-like about Edisons, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Pipises are exclusive to Spamton because it was his attempt to imitate Mike. Interestingly enough, although it's hard to say that the Mike's egg was sent on purpose, The very similar event happens with Spamton. He sends Noel one of the Pipises, probably expecting that she'd like it the same way she ended up thinking that the egg is a cool pet, but she didn't. And now I think it's a nice moment to mention that Pipises aren't technically eggs. Pipis is a name of type of clams, which sometimes even have bluish color. Yeah, it's not just a funny name Tricky Tony came up with. Now, as to why Spamton named his knockoff eggs as clams, I believe it's simply because he never copies anything precisely. That would be stupid if he did. So he just took a similar object, another shell with life inside. Also explains why pipises are stretched horizontally and not vertically. And now, with that said, I'll continue talking about pipises as if they were eggs, not only because they have an ability to chirp, you'll see. And that was all the evidence I could remember at least. Now let's discuss what the hell does this information even give us, and I deliberately use the word discuss because I want to hear ideas from others. Feel free to leave a comment or reference this video in your own post. As for my takes, as I said in the beginning, yes, Mike will have egg-based attacks, similar to Spamton's yet different. I'd probably guess that each egg could spawn only one cat instead of spamming multiple like Pipises do. I also said that eggs could be Mike's gimmick, and by that I meant that eggs would give him ability to multiply himself like in Iram John Mental boss fight, or summon henchmen, or hedge cats, hench kittens, if you may, hench kitties even. Now, as for other traits Pipises have, no, I don't think Mike's eggs will be able to blow up, or at least not in the same way Pipises do. What I do think, however, is that Mike's egg will be also edible. It would be possible to acquire at least one as a healing item, similar to how we can eat a pipis. Maybe it will even meow when we do that, but that is honestly scary to think about. And that's all the pipis parallels that I can think of, but not everything I think the eggs will be able to do. Original has to be better than the cheap copy after all. I think Mike will have more egg attacks than Spamton did. Different cats hatching could either follow different patterns and or be different colors. And by colors, I mean orange, blue, and basic white. Although friend fight introducing new battle colors isn't out of realm of possibility either. Also, a notable thing about cat patterns is there are dozens of modes, which allowed players to hatch not only cats but even cars and Simpsons family. So with that in mind, way less confidently than everything else in this video, I propose the idea that Mike is also able to spawn objects and other animals out of eggs. And for my last trick, I offer you a little timeline visualizer, which I suggest you don't take seriously. Queen, Ram, and Spamton are brought to Dreamer's house, as well as Cat Petter's game cartridge under Azriel's bed turns up around same time and manifests into Mike's room. But not Mike himself, of course. Mike's existence and his little room aren't a secret from Tana, but he doesn't show himself. Not for a prolonged amount of time at least, since Spamton and Bluey had to at least see his eyes to implement it into their outfits. Mike always hears everything, as suggested by the fact that he called Spamton immediately after he agrees to explain Tana how his deal works, but for whatever reason chooses to only be heard through a phone. And so it was actually Spamton who first started screaming in the air so that Mike would do stuff for him, and Tana was the one to copy. Spamton would sometimes allow Tana's requests to be done in a way like, yeah, Mike, do the thing he said. And if asked for an object of sorts, Mike would manifest via one of his eggs, although now that I think about it, that could only be the case if Spamton would only receive and open the eggs in his mailroom, and then bring out the objects alone, because otherwise someone would have mentioned the eggs other than Pipises. Although now that I think about it even more, only Tana acknowledges Pipises despite everyone eating them in TV dinners, and also the shadowy figures which only appear if you didn't acquire Steelmaker. And these monsters refer to Pipises as something shameful, and Tana himself was willing to hide it in the closet, out of all things, So maybe the idea that eggs would be something Spamton would prefer not to show to anyone isn't that much of a stretch after all. But still, in imitation of Mike, Spamton creates Pipises, don't ask how, and gives Stana one of them. And later, after some sweet, sweet talk, the magic ends, Mike deeps, after Spamton agrees to tell Tana more about him, and because Spamton left without explaining anything, Tana assumes that it was only Spamton who left and Mike has stayed. Mike wasn't visible in his room even while Spamton was around, so coming into an empty room didn't bug Tana, and Mike impersonators only fed further into his delusions. So yeah, that's the Pipis origin theory. Put on your face and wash your coat, and thank you for watching.